Everyone is locked in on McLaren's rise and Red Bull's chaos. But under the radar, George Russell is building one of the most surgical and consistent F1 careers ever. 3 podiums in 4 races, no crashes, no chaos, just pure execution. And like it or not, George is keeping Mercedes alive. With Hamilton gone and Mercedes rebuilding, the expectations were low. But George Russell, he is thriving under pressure. In this deep dive, we're going to break down his 2025 resurgence, the unseen leadership shift at Mercedes, and why this might be the season that finally puts George in the conversation as a future world champion. So let's get right into it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Chicane Chat. I am so glad you decided to join me once again, and let's get right into Russell's rise to leadership. From struggling at Williams to nearly stealing a win at the Sakir GP in 2020, George Russell has always been about proving people wrong. In 2022, he finally stepped up into a Mercedes seat, only to be greeted by the nightmares of the unpredictable W13. Still, George kept his head down. By 2024, his racecraft matured and the paddock started paying attention to George. He wasn't flashy, but he was consistent, he was measured, he was a sponge for data. That version of George laid the foundation for what we're seeing now. But 2025 brought us a seismic shift. Lewis Hamilton out of Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli in. Suddenly, Russell had to be the guy. He had to lead this team to victory, to glory, to rebuild this team. And what did he do? He stepped up. If we listen to radio clips, we can hear a driver taking control. In briefings, he is leading the development direction. His on-track demeanor is calculated and unshakable. He is no longer reacting to Formula One, he is shaping it now. His Bahrain recovery, managing mechanical issues en route to P2. That wasn't just a result, that was a statement. George isn't just driving the car, he's driving the team. But let's talk about results because numbers don't lie. Bahrain P2, Australia P3, China P3, Japan P5. He is the only driver in the top 5 this season without a single DNF, penalty, or serious error. In a grid full of chaos, that's a superpower. And context matters because Mercedes isn't the fastest car anymore. George Russell is dragging that car into the podium with pure race IQ. That is elite. But let's get a little more into the metrics. Let's get into the data. Russell's average qualifying delta to Kimi Antonelli, his rookie teammate, was -4 tenths of a second. His average race pace was 1.5 tenths of a second quicker than Mercedes' own projections. His tire life management, top 3 on the grid. But more impressive than that is his decision making. In Shanghai, he called the rain 30 seconds before it hit. In Australia, he managed a soft, hard, soft strategy to perfection while others had to box twice. That's not just driving, that's playing chess on the racetrack. But let's talk about team dynamics a little bit because Mercedes sits second on the Constructors' Championship at the moment I'm recording this video. But don't let that fool you. Yes, Kimi Antonelli has a great future, but as of right now, that position is mostly George Russell's doing. He scored over 2/3 of all the team's points. I'm talking about over 70% of all their points this season were scored by George Russell. And internally, he is now the reference point for that team. Development at Mercedes is now skewed toward his feedback. He is setting the bar that Kimi Antonelli is chasing on and off the track. Russell has taken the reins and the engineers trust him. The team is rallying around him. But there is a catch. Leadership doesn't come with just applause. While Max Verstappen vents about Red Bull and Lando Norris's winning headlines, George Russell is doing the quiet work, and he is doing it under a microscope. The standard for George is no longer beat your teammate, it's carry the legacy of Mercedes. That's the weight that Russell is driving with every single weekend. And so far, he's not surviving it, he is owning it. But here is a subplot that nobody's talking about. Russell's contract with Mercedes ends this year and no renewal has been announced yet. No clear signals, it is a ticking clock. He's saying he's focused on racing, but behind closed doors, Mercedes has to be nervous about this. With Audi coming into the sport in 2026, Red Bull about to explode, and what if Ferrari fumbles again? George will have many options. Let's be clear and honest. George is no longer a seat warmer. He is in control now. He is a cornerstone for the team now, and if Mercedes don't secure him, they're not just losing a driver. They risk losing their post-Hamilton identity. And don't get me wrong, Russell knows this. That's leverage he has. The kind very few drivers get. and he's earned it. But let's talk about the narrative shift from the past to 2025. George Russell was once nicknamed Mr. Saturday, and don't get confused, that's not a good thing. People were basically saying that he was good at qualifying, but he was fumbling it in races. But George has completely flipped that script. George is now Sunday strong. Bahrain showed us that, and so did China. And in Japan, with a car that's definitely not optimal for that track, he still brought home a P5. That is the mark of a complete driver. But why is George being underrated? He doesn't rant, he doesn't meme except for a few pictures here and there on social media. He doesn't crash often, he's not doing trendy things on social media, but make no mistake, inside the paddock, they are looking at him. When you're never in the steward's office, never in the gravel, and always at the front, you are a threat. And right now in 2025, George Russell is the biggest threat in Formula One. But let's drive the point home with the most important stat that I already gave you in this video. There's only been one driver so far in the 2025 season with no penalties, no DNFs, and no drama at all. And that is George Russell. That is what consistency and elite level driving looks like. But what comes next? Because the question isn't whether George can handle a title fight. The question is, can Mercedes give him the tools? Because the driver, he's ready. According to Mercedes, upgrades are coming and the midfield is tightening. But Russell's baseline is already elite. Add 3 more tenths to the car and he's in the mix. Not for points, for the win. At the end of the day, George Russell is the type of driver that doesn't need to shout to make noise. He's letting the lap times speak for themselves and he's letting results stack up. And he's proving it, race by race, that the future of Mercedes may already be here. Let me know down below your thoughts about George Russell in 2025 and smash that like button. You can click right here to subscribe for more deep dive F1 breakdowns and click right here for another video that I created just for you. This is Chicane Chat and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.